Imagine turning a $0 down investment into a $90,000 profit. Does this sound too good to be true? Well, it's not. In this video, I'm gonna walk you through the steps that we took to do exactly this. Hey, I'm Nicole, and I've been flipping properties here in Charleston, and our goal is to flip as many properties as possible with as little money out of pocket. So come along with me. I'm gonna walk you through the process of exactly how we did it on this project. So this property we just recently purchased and sold here in the Charleston area. It was a 2,400 square foot home, 3-bedroom, 3-bath. This home had a lot of layout challenges, which made it very funky, in addition to some structural problems and it just needing a complete and total overhaul. What we ended up doing was figuring out a great floor plan for the home, making all the repairs and updates necessary, and we also added a 4th bedroom to bring as much value as we possibly could out of the home. What you might be wondering is how we got this property with zero money out of pocket and actually ended up walking away with a little bit of money at the closing table. Well, we used a strategy that uses a blend of hard money lending and also gap funding. So our hard money lender gave us a loan on the project at 90% of the purchase price. The home purchase was $500,000, so we needed to come with $50,000 down in order to purchase this property and our closing costs, points, and fees in order to purchase this home. So what we did was we brought in what's called gap funding. This is where we find a private lender who wants to be in a second lien position on the home and come with the money that we needed in order to close it. Our gap funding came in at $70,000, which after all of our closing costs, fees, and down payment left us with about $6,000 back to help us get that renovation started. Now with this particular project, we actually were asking for about $30,000 more from our private gap lenders. However, we actually had a choice. We had one gap lender who was able to come in at the full amount and another one that we wanted to build a relationship with that could only come in at the $70,000. We chose in this particular scenario to continue to build a relationship with the person that was able to give the $70,000. That was just a business move that we made. So we ended up coming a little bit out of pocket in order to make this project happen, because while we got $6,000 back at close, we still have monthly holding costs, and we do need to put money into the renovation in order to get it back in draws. So while we got money back at close, we did put some of our own cash into this deal, but you don't have to if you can raise enough gap funding to cover all of your monthly payments and your renovation costs. This was just a business decision that we made to build a relationship with this particular private lender that we wanted to continue to do business with further down the road. Now on this project, our initial budget was $212,000. However, there was just quite a few unexpected things that came up during the renovation, things with the flooring system, electrical updates that we needed to make. And also there were a couple value adds that we wanted to do where we knew if we made these changes to the project that we could really extract the full value and we would dollar for dollar get that back in the end. So while we started out with a $212,000 renovation budget, it actually ended up going to $232,000 on the renovation on this project. This was still completely worth it. And like I said, the updates that we made, like including that 4th bedroom, making sure the layout changes were done correctly, even raising a ceiling in one of the rooms, all of those dollar for dollar gave us that return back on the end. So it actually made sense for us to go over budget, our initial budget at least, on this project. So let's dive a little bit deeper into the cost of the project, because there are a lot of hidden costs. It's not as easy as I'm gonna buy it for this, I'm gonna sell it for this, and this is our renovation and everything else is profit. There are so many hidden costs to a project that sometimes starting out as a new investor, you don't think about. So we're gonna right now break them all down on what happened with this project so you know for your projects how to budget. So let's start off with our initial lender fees. So our hard money lender charges $1,000 for every loan we close with them, which is actually pretty great in the hard money lending world. Then they charge us 1 point of the total loan cost. So that ended up being about $7,500 in lending fees right off the bat. In addition, this loan was about $660,000 at a 10.7% interest rate, which ended up being about $37,000 in interest over the life of the loan. In addition, like I said, we brought that gap money in. And so our private money lenders who came in, they also made $4,500. So that was money going out to them. So our total debt cost on this project between private money and hard money was $49,000 for this project. Then we have insurance costs. So in this area for this particular size project and the neighborhood that it was in, our insurance costs were $3,700. And then we had about $2,000 of additional holding costs on the project. So those holding costs end up being $5,700. And then here are some costs that I feel like are really easy to get missed in the beginning when you're investing. So we had our initial closing costs at $3,200. That was just for us to close the property, the attorney's fees, and the title search fees. And then on the back end was about $47,000. And that was our closing costs that we paid, which was around $4,000, and the rest was commission to our agents. And then we had about $1,000 in pre and post inspections. Now, I can see how people would think, well, I don't want to lose $1,000 just by having somebody come in and inspect the home. But this helped us with two things. One, it helped us get our scope of work very clear in the beginning on things that we needed to do. And then two, it helped us repair things and catch them before the buyers had their inspection, which can also save time and money if something falls out of contract. If you can get ahead of many things as possible, it's well worth $1,000. And then we also spent about $2,700 in staging, which again, there's a huge ROI on staging a home because now you're having buyers walk into a home and they immediately see themselves in it because you're showing them how the entire home can flow and how they could live in it. So with this project, we also added some really nice detailed higher end features. We had marble floors in a bathroom, a very specific design palette that we knew people would really gravitate towards. So we were able to list this home at $950,000, which was a great price point for the market. Now, we ended up accepting an offer with around $13,000 in concessions initially. And then even though we did all of our inspections, there were a couple things that came up where we just ended up giving another $5,000 in credits. So in total, we ended up giving $18,000 in credits back to the person purchasing the home. So our total investment on this project, and I'm just gonna go ahead and include the concessions that we gave back, was $860,000. And we sold the property for $950,000. So this gave us a $90,000 profit in about 6 months. But I consider this total home run, especially considering that we got to build a private money lending relationship. At the initial close, we got about $6,000 back. And at the end of the day, we profited $90,000 on this property. So here are some tips if you want to get into deals with zero money down. First, it's just building out those relationships with private money lenders that can come in and give you your gap funding or maybe even your full funding on the project. Second, is always having a good contingency plan for your budget and making sure that you're putting the most value into your project that you're able to get back out. And then lastly, is making sure that you're investing in good marketing, which is having a really good agent who also helped us find this property, and investing in staging. These two things are going to be invaluable when selling your home for top dollar the fastest you possibly can. If you found this video helpful, make sure you're hitting that like and subscribe button to see more content like this. If you have any questions, hit us up in the comments. We'd love to answer any questions that you have about this process. and how you too can be successful in your business. And if you want to learn more about zero down strategies, check out our other video linked below about this subject.